Welcome to this month's Be in Brunswick. I'm your new host, Shannon, from the Brunswick County Chamber. I'd like to thank my sponsors, Dane Delane Salon Studios and Surf Unlimited, for making me feel great today. Today we have a great show planned for you. We have Bug and a Rug exterminators. They're going to talk to us about pest extermination and also termites and also moisture control under your house. We also have the Dog Days mobile groomers that we're going to be getting soapy and wet with some little furry animals today, so stay tuned. Well, I'm here today with Bug and a Rug exterminators, Charlie, who is their manager here in the area. And it's a pleasure to be out here today and kind of learn a little bit more about what you guys do. I do want to brag on Charlie for just a second. He was featured as one of our Future 10s recently in the South Brunswick magazine. So congrats, Charlie, and thanks for having us out here today.
Well, thank you guys for having me out here. I'm looking forward to doing it, and hopefully it all turns out the way we want.
Good. Well, I want to ask you, Charlie, is what does Bug and a Rug do? What are your services?
Well, our main service obviously is going to be pest control and termite work. They're kind of different in the fact that termite service can be one big treatment, and then it's followed up yearly with annual renewals and inspections. And anytime that we find any evidence in a house that has termites, we will take care of that. In other words, we'll either treat or we may have to treat, and if you have a repair guarantee, then we'll repair any damages, things like that. As far as pest control, that's a general pest. In other words, people that have maybe like spiders and roaches, earwigs, things like that, that's more of a monthly to a quarterly service, depending on what the customer requires. We like to do normally on a quarterly service, so that's every 3 months, and then the customers, they pay for that quarterly service, but if they need anything in between, we don't charge them for that. We call those callbacks.
Very nice. Are there any particular bugs that are like really bad in this area as far as things you see a lot of?
Yeah, our biggest problem is going to be spiders and earwigs. Spiders, that's going to be a big thing in your garages and crawl spaces, places like that. The earwigs are really a problem, can be a nuisance for a lot of
those little
homeowners.
flat ones that you see?
Yeah, little flat ones that have little pinchers looking things on the back.
Okay, I was wondering
those are, you can see them in any house, but really on not crawl spaces, but the slabs.
Yes.
Slabs are where you'll see them the most. They give us probably some of the most trouble as far as treating. Ants are going to be the other thing.
Oh, yeah.
So those are the three big things.
I always thought with spiders, they were like more of a on contact. Like, how do you treat for spiders not coming back? Is there a way to do that?
Well, there is. You have to use, there's one product that we like to use. It's micro-encapsulated. It breaks down over time.
Okay.
But you've got to get it to where, in the areas that spiders are going to be. So for us, for the sake of time, we won't get into all those areas, but for the most part, your garages, dark places, corners, things like that, that's where we're going to treat the most.
So it kind of breaks it down, so it does. So even if you kill the first batch and maybe another batch comes, maybe
that's right. The chemical will break down over time.
Still be there.
Kind of like a Tylenol.
Yeah.
Slow release.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right. So today, what we're going to do, Charlie, is we are going to go under the house and do an inspection.
That's right.
And we are in the St. James Plantation area, so hopefully we will have a great experience, and they will have a great, their product line will be fine. I will have to say, the last time I did the show, I was under a house. So Aaron and I are making this a tradition this year. So, so I think what we're going to do now is go ahead and get dressed and get ready to go under the house. See you in a bit. All right, Charlie's already inside, so here I go. Let's do this.
All right.
Okay, here I am. Again, under the house. Okay, so what do we got going on down here, Charlie?
Well, the first thing we're going to do, this particular house, we have a dehumidification system under here, and what that means is that we want to keep the moisture content in the floor joist and the subfloor low so that we eliminate any moisture rot, wood rot. Some people call it dry rot, but it's really moisture rot. And we want to make sure we keep mildew spores. We don't do mold work, but anytime you keep the moisture low, we keep mold out of the crawl space that way.
Right.
Can't stress that enough. We don't do mold work, but dehumidifiers will keep the moisture low, and so that keeps mildew and rot down. So when I come under here, what I'm checking is to make sure that this thing's operating correctly. What it's reading right here is that it's at 35%, which is very low humidity.
Okay.
We don't really want it to get above 65 or 70.
Oh, yeah.
There's a sensor that we have located under here that has a remote, and we have a unit inside the house that the homeowner can watch constantly, and it'll tell him if this thing gets too high. He knows if it gets 65, 70% to call us so we can come and look and see what's going on. But in our situation, this is very good. This is what we call a moisture meter. So how we know that our moisture is good in our wood is that we put it up like that right there.
Yeah.
And it's telling us that we're at 2% right here.
Is that good?
It's good. It's really low, but it's good. The further you get away from the dehumidifier, the more it'll be. We're getting a little better reading. I had to get up in there. It's about 5% in here, so that's good.
Is there a certain time of the year where the humidity is worse than others that you would keep an eye on this more?
It is. In the summertime, it's going to be worse. This particular house doesn't have, if you look through here, it doesn't have any HVAC unit. But houses that do have ductwork under it for HVAC, in the summertime, they'll sweat.
Okay.
And when they sweat, obviously that creates moisture content. That's where the dehumidifiers really work.
Right.
This particular house just has a high water table, and so if it's not covered by a vapor barrier, it's not going to keep that moisture from rising and getting up into here.
Okay. Wow.
So that's the long and short of it.
Okay. And then what other things do you do when you're under the house besides check for the moisture levels?
Well, the first thing we do is we start at our door, we work our way to the right. Mm-hmm. And what the guys are looking for, obviously in here it's encapsulated, but we have a 6-inch inspection gap. So what they want to do is make sure that they're looking all around the top, around the sill plates and around the top of all the piers. And if they see any evidence of termites, whether it be live termites or termite tube stains or tubes that are like mud tubes, then they know that we need to possibly come in here and do a retreatment. Okay. And if they're into the sill plates, into the flooring, and they've done damage before we could catch them, well, if the homeowner is under a repair warranty, then we're going to take care of that as well.
Very good. Are termites worse than any other time frame as far as weather and time of year?
No, they work year round. The way I've always learned to say it is that they work 24/7. They never take time off, and they don't watch TV, and they don't play on Facebook.
Great. Is there anything else that you want to talk about that you guys do that we might have missed today?
Some of the other things that we do as a company don't always pertain to pests, just like the dehumidifier. It's not all about the pests. Mm-hmm. But some of the things we do, if we go into a house and we have a customer that their duct or the insulation is falling, the insulation in this house is very well done, but if it's falling, we will let the customer know about that. We do offer that service. Depending on the house and depending on the size of the crawl space, that'll depend on the price of what it would be. But we can do those kind of services. Sometimes the house may just need to be cleaned out. It may not be encapsulated. Mm-hmm. Maybe it doesn't have a moisture issue, but they just got a lot of stuff under the house that needs to come out. We'll do that as well, clean that out. We can also replace some insulation for customers if need be. We can do that as well.
Kind of like smaller jobs, nothing too major. And
Yes.
I guess you have your resources for people you call when you need things like that as well.
We do. If we have a big job and we need somebody to come in and do it, then we can sub it out, so to speak.
Okay.
Some things we can do on our own, some things we can't. It just depends on what it is. But just like duct work, if we see duct work that's undone, it's not connected, well then we can let the homeowner know, and they'll call their HVAC company and let them come out and look at it. If we see a leak, obviously we don't do plumbing, but if we see a leak in the house, we're obviously going to tell the customer because that's a conducive condition for termites as well. And so we're going to let them know about that leak, tell them exactly where it's at. That way they can call their plumber. And so there's a lot of benefits to having a termite warranty or a moisture warranty in a house, that not necessarily something that we can fix, but we are here we can inspect it. We see things that obviously the homeowner's not always going to be under the house.
Right.
So we see things ahead of time that we can help them head that off,
Right.
that they might otherwise not get that done.
And this, like you said, is encapsulated, meaning I guess the plastic, and it's been very well protected to keep the moisture down. And
Yeah, this is a 10 mil thick vapor barrier. You can do it a different way. This is what we would call the Cadillac of it, I guess you would say. There is another way that you can do it. Not every house needs to go up the wall. So what we'll do is just take a 6 mil vapor barrier and put that down on the floor. It'll go wall to wall and cut around the piers nice and tight.
This is a pier?
Yep.
Okay.
And then we'll just pin it down. Some houses don't require a dehumidifier. They just need the vapor barrier. But if they have that high moisture content and there's a need for a dehumidifier, then we do that work. We offer that kind of work. And of course, every house is different, so pricing varies depending on the house.
And where is your office located, your physical office in here?
Well, we're located in Bolivia. We're right off of a Southport Supply Road. We're about 4 miles from the light at the intersection of 17 and Southport Supply Road 211.
211, okay. And how can they reach you if they wanted to call for you guys?
Well, they can reach us a couple of different ways. They can call our office. That's 910-754-9700. You can also go to our website, bugandarug.com. And then we also have a Facebook page, which is Bug and a Rug.
Awesome. And you guys have other locations besides the supply?
We do. This was our second location. We call it a satellite office. Our main location is located in Wilmington. That's where I started working at a few years back. The company's been in business about 20 years. I think they started around 96. So we've been in business about 20 years. We just opened last year our Hampstead office. So for anybody that's up north of Wilmington, we can take care of that as well. Down here, the Brunswick County office, we not only handle Brunswick County, but we can go out some of the surrounding counties.
How many technicians do you guys have here in this location that help you guys?
In my location, we have 7 technicians. We run 6 trucks, counting my truck. And then we have 3 ladies that work in the office to help us with our phones and help us with our internet and things like that.
What would you say a typical day, how many calls would a technician go on?
It depends on the technician. They all do a little bit something different. Termite guys, we can normally do a couple of termite treatments a day, depending on the size of the house, of course. But that's an average for termite crew. Each crew would have 2 guys unless it's a super big job. Then we'll add a 3rd guy. As far as pest control, the guys will do anywhere from 8 to 14 stops, whether it be pest control or inspections like this or something like that. But that's about it, 8 to 14, and then two jobs for the termite crew.
All right, that sounds amazing, and you guys have a great reputation here in the area. So we appreciate you being on the show today and walking us through this dehumidifier and the important things you need to think about when you own a home. And I think we're gonna just say thank you for having you.
Well, thank you guys for coming out and seeing me.